Hello. Come on in. Have some gum. So I've recently been rewatching a show from my younger years, The Haunting Hour, which is basically just Goosebumps from the 2010s, even to the point that they're both R.L. Stine joints. I don't really know how much involvement he had in the show. He's only credited as concept for all the episodes, so it kind of seems more like a white label sort of thing to me. I don't even know why it's called The Haunting Hour. The episodes are only 22 minutes, but I digest. So, it's an episodic horror show aimed at teens, middle schoolers maybe, and I thought it would be fun to rank them. And so I was doing so on my own time, as you do, and realized I should be doing a video. Ranking is pretty hard. I actually think in this case I have a pretty solid ranking, but what I thought I would do is go episode to episode, give a short summary, some things I liked or didn't, and assign it to a tier. It was mostly filmed in BC. I grew up in BC, so a lot of the locations and even actors are familiar. There's a lot of actors in this you'll recognize from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Anyway, let's proceed. I'm pretty excited here. I'm going to be using a template on Tier Maker. I was actually going to make one my own, but someone else already made one with all the episodes, so shouts out to them. I'm sure their name or something will be on the screen. And I thank you for your service. Okay, starting off. Episode 1, we have Really You. So, starting off really strong with one of two parters in the first season. Really You is undeniably the most famous episode. If you know the show at all, you know this episode. It's a pretty basic living doll story. The doll looks like the main girl, and both she and the mother develop a strange connection to it.
Just because someone says something mean does not give you the right to destroy their things or hit them or anything like that.
Don't you just love Lady's hair?
Rachel's mother doesn't want Rachel coming over anymore.
I don't care.
I think you need a timeout from Lily D.
No!
Yes!
The acting is pretty great in this one all around, and there's some effectively creepy bits. What really surprised me was how strong the brother-sister relationship was developed. It wasn't crazy good, just quite a bit better than you might expect from a show like this. Solid stuff, and I'm gonna put Really You Part 1 in A tier. Unfortunately, I cannot extend the same praise to the second part of Really You. It's not substantially worse. It's just not as creepy when the doll switches with the real girl and vice versa. And the doll, who is now human, isn't really being that menacing, just trying to trick the family, which doesn't work. Seeing a life-size doll walking around a house at night is much creepier. I will still put Really You Part 2 in A tier, because it is pretty much just the second part to the same story. Moving on. A Creature Was Stirring is the weirdest, strangest, pretty easily the worst one, but not the one I enjoyed watching the least. In some ways, it's pretty generic and offensive. It takes place on Christmas morning. No one is getting along and the parents are planning a divorce. Out of nowhere, this flying demon gremlin thing, which looks awful, begins terrorizing them, and through that they come together. It's a Christmas miracle. Also, their house burns down. The reason it's the worst is the very odd decision to reveal that this is Santa's doing, which I get for the bringing together the family part, but did he really have to burn their house down on Christmas? On top of that, the way they show Santa is just odd. and it's really not that creepy or memorable. It's a bad, goofy note to end the episode on, when others end in a way that really solidifies the horror. Didn't mind some of the family stuff, but too much dumb and boring. F tier. It owns F tier. It doesn't have to share it. I'm just gonna come out and say it now. It doesn't get any worse. This is the worst episode, easily. Another thing I want to say about the episode is that when they escape the house, there's no snow anywhere, and one of the characters immediately makes a note of this as if there's a reason, and I immediately knew that they just didn't have the time, money, or effort to put fake snow on the entire neighborhood. So one of the kids just says, "What? Why is there no snow?" You know why. You know.
Snow.
It's all gone.
Like, completely.
Where did it go?
This is weird.
Maybe the fire melted it.
Not the whole block.
Episode 4, The Dead Body, is about a bullied boy who makes friends with a weird kid who promises to exact revenge. Surprise, he's been dead for 40 years.
Ain't no way you could have met Jake Skinner.
Yeah? Why's that?
Because Jake Skinner died in 1961.
Yeah, right.
And the exchange is for the boy to take his place back in the 60s or whenever, so he can come back to life and take his place. This is an episode with an unambiguously bad ending. The boy gets trapped and dies, and now he's a ghost. It's a decent episode. It particularly does a good job feeling very genuine with its presentation of what it looks like to be a student in BC. I feel like the paths he walked home were literally in my old neighborhood or something. That's very subjective, however. The episode starts off really good with its setup, but ends up being really cliche. C tier. As you'll see, most of the show exists in the C tier, mainly because the show itself is very C tier. Nightmare Inn is a weird one that I like more than I probably should. A girl and her mother move into an old inn that they buy after her father went missing / died as they were looking to buy it. Some people might call this a stupid decision on the mother's part for still buying the place, but the way it's explained I actually understood, and yet I could sympathize with the daughter, who finds it very creepy and weird that they are living in a place they have so much negative, awful memories of. She's plagued with nightmares, which is a huge cliche, but I actually thought it worked pretty well in this episode. It takes the root of what's really happening, is all of this a dream? In the end, it turns out that her father was turned into a werewolf, before suddenly, and I mean jarringly, cutting to reveal that the whole time it was a dream. Once again, making you ask what was real, what wasn't. I thought it was very well executed and genuinely unnerving. One of the more creepy episodes to me, not gonna lie. B tier. The Red Dress is about a girl who works at a country club, trying to get the attention of a boy she likes who attends. She finds a red dress at a store that's overpriced, and later finds herself with an opportunity to steal it. The red dress, though making her beautiful, changes the person she is on the inside. What I like about this episode is the fact that her love interest truly seems to like her regardless of the dress, which further goes along with the theme of the episode of not changing yourself for other people. They should love you for who you are, so on. I'm pretty sure there's a twist. For the life of me, I can't remember what it is. and I could have looked it up, but I feel like that should speak to how memorable the episode was for me. It was okay, but I found it hard to connect with. Some good themes, but just not my jam. C tier. Ghostly Stare is about a brother and sister who live close to a cemetery that is being exhumed. They spend a lot of their time there to the dismay of their mother, especially due to the older sister's unique hobby of grave rubbing. Is that what it's called? Sounds weird. The younger brother falls in a grave and is replaced by a ghost that looks like him, and then the sister saves him. And there are a lot of other ghosts who show up with goofy effects, and I kept thinking that the people playing the ghosts are at an 11 with their drama kidness.
I'm so cold.
I'm so cold.
Not really creepy at all, and then at the end the sister is actually a different person somehow. The vibes are not completely non-existent in this episode, but it's a weaker one for sure. Also, Dino Dan is in this. I never watched Dino Dan, so this doesn't really mean anything to me, but it might to you. C tier. The Walls. Now we're getting into the good stuff. The Walls is about a boy who moves to a new neighborhood and begins hearing things in his walls. He realizes there's a weird creature living in the walls and eventually captures him, and his parents reveal that not only did they know it was there, they were actively seeking out a home with one of these creatures because they're said to bring good luck. There's not too much to say about this episode besides the fact that it's just a really solid one. Everything comes together very nicely. In some ways, it's a quintessential episode. It's not so good that it gives unreasonably high expectations, and it's certainly not bad. It also has a pretty lighthearted ending, which is welcome every now and then. A tier. The next episode is Game Over. It's a pet peeve of mine when a show or movie features a video game and demonstrates a complete geriatric lack of understanding of what video games are and how they work. That's my biggest issue with this episode, is that it just does not make any sense. It's about a narcissistic teenager who gets sucked into a video game and has to beat it to escape, learning to use teamwork along the way, of course. It's a zombie apocalypse game, so the episode is very similar to a zombie apocalypse type movie. The twist is that he's still stuck at the end and has to do the same thing that was done to him to get out. And then at the end, another kid is playing the game and it mirrors the beginning, which is something that this show does a lot, and that particularly happens in a later episode, which I think does it much better. Game Over is going in D tier. Next up is Alien Candy, which stars Fregley. Bonus points for that.
So, I was thinking maybe you might want to have a sleepover?
Honestly, it's a bit of a lesser one. A kid befriends these two weirdos who end up being aliens and are actually trying to eat him and his friend. The reason I'm going to put this in B tier is because the ending is great. There's a final confrontation. The aliens are killed in the school cafeteria kitchen. They explode and their chunks go into the chicken nugget meat. And the episode ends with everyone at the school eating these alien meat nuggets, with Fregley and his friend realizing this and screaming, cut, roll credits.
Did the nuggets taste different today? Yeah, I thought so. More flavor than usual.
You don't suppose.
It's great. No other episode ends on such a darkly humorous note. It's either that the character is doomed, or it might genuinely be a creepy note that the episode ends on, but none end with such grace and humor. B tier. Fear Never Knocks is about a brother and sister whose grandfather is a psychiatrist and uses this strange supernatural object to conduct his therapy. They discover this device and how it works to terrifying consequences. Spoiler alert, it manifests your deepest fears. This is one of the most solid episodes without a doubt. Conceptually and thematically, I would say it's the best. There are some moments that are genuinely creepy, but one of the things that isn't is the character of Fear.
Who are you?
Someone who's not going away, no matter how deeply you breathe. And out. And out. See? I'm still here. You can't think me away. So, where is Dr. Hansen?
Oh, shiver my timbers! Shut up, man!
He's just way too over the top and full of his own performance, thinking he's much creepier than he is. It's just so theatric, and I think it would have really benefited from some restraint. Speaking of, the way the episode ends, the restraint it uses is brilliant. For a show with a ton of cheap scares, they didn't put one in the place where it counted the most. I don't want to tell you what, just watch this episode if you can, I really recommend it. And because it ends so strong for me, I am going to put it in S tier, our first one of the video. Remember when I said earlier that A Creature Was Stirring was my least favorite episode, but not the one I enjoyed watching the least? Well, the one I enjoyed watching the least was Best Friend Forever. It's about a young boy who wants a dog, but keeps a zombie as a pet, hiding it from his mother. Hilarity ensues. At the end, the zombie brings the boy home to his mother and keeps him as a pet. The makeup is pretty good, D tier. Our next episode is The Black Mask. It's kind of a nothing burger to me. Some kids find a mask, and when they put it on, they see visions of the past, with 3 old-timey kids who are dying, and they try to save them, not realizing that those kids are them in the present, dressed up old-timey in an attempt to go back in time to save them, resulting in this conceptually cool time loop thing. That's really all there is to say about this one. Above average twist in a below average episode. C tier. The next episode is Afraid of Clowns. Afraid of Clowns, along with another episode I would describe as the most middle-of-the-road episode. There's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of the benchmark. Every other episode is either better or worse than this specific one. It's about a boy who is afraid of clowns. His dad keeps trying to talk to him, and you're supposed to think it's a birds and the bees talk, because he keeps saying, oh, you may notice your body's changing. But it's pretty clear he's going to tell him we're actually clowns, LOL.
I realize that this is awkward, but it's important that we have this discussion before your birthday, because you're going to notice different things about your body, and I don't want you to be nervous
Are you
or
giving
scared.
me a talk?
And that's exactly what happens. A clown convention carnival thing comes to town, and all his friends force him to go because, you know, clowns are the new hip thing. All the kids are doing them. And at this carnival, he's chosen from the audience, taunted to a pretty effectively creepy result. And then he's taken to the back where his parents are, and they reveal, literally from under their skin masks, that they've been clowns the whole time, as if a clown is not also a human being. It's shown weird too, where all the other clowns are really menacing, and the episode ends with a crane shot rising up as he yells, "No!" And I remember thinking, okay, now what? In the world of the episode, after he calms down, are they just gonna like go to Tim Hortons and have Boston cream? Like, what does this mean for him? Is he gonna do what his parents did for the last however many years and just play human? I don't know. Kind of a dumb twist. C tier. My Sister the Witch. I barely remember this episode. I barely remembered it right after I first saw it. It's about a boy whose sister comes back from boarding school and he suspects she's a witch and no one believes him. And the twist is that all the creepy witch stuff she's been doing was actually to protect the family because they were cursed. It's boring. One part did make me laugh. When the real villain is revealed, he gets hit with a cart and just goes flying violently, landing on a table, feet up.
Two can play at this game.
Existo,
Too bad you'll never get a chance to use
Stara,
your wicked spell.
Don Luna, Ramos.
Alice, don't!
D tier. Wrong Number is about a couple of mean high school girls who get haunted by their recently deceased neighbor. A lot of people seem to like this one, and I think it's really good conceptually, but pretty cliche. The one girl, played by Jessie,
Don't you want to ask me any more questions?
Do you poop on the floor?
is much worse than the other one, who is eventually spared. Throughout the episode, they pick on this goth girl who eventually offers help in the form of her uncle, and immediately I'm like, okay, he's gonna actually not help them, which turns out to be the case. The herbs, or whatever he gives them to ward off the neighbor's ghost, who's trying to make them nice girls.
What are you gonna do about it? No mercy for mean girls.
Doesn't end up working, and it's revealed after Jessie is trapped in a phone that the old lady was the grandmother of the goth girl the whole time. Going through the episode, I feel like it should almost be lower, but it's pretty solid overall. B tier. And next up, we have Catching Cold. Catching Cold is about an overweight boy who becomes obsessed with a phantom ice cream truck that only he sees in his neighborhood. After being able to try the ice cream once and discovering that it's the best he's ever had and not even close.
I felt bad about the other night, so I got you something. Ice cream, all different kinds. Here, try this one.
This is junk. This is to Creamy Cold what a school hamburger is to the world's best steak.
He does anything he can to catch the truck again. I'm just gonna come out and say that this is my favorite episode. It's very reminiscent of I Saw the TV Glow in some ways. It's weirdly nostalgic. Rowley and Patty Farrell are in it. And Robert Capron, the actor who plays Rowley, easily gives the best child performance in the show so far. Even though he's not really given much to showcase his acting ability, it clearly comes through. He's just in another league. The vibes, much like I Saw the TV Glow, are on point in this. It's the one I feel the most connection to, and honestly, it could belong to another more consistently better show, akin to a Black Mirror or something like it, and it wouldn't be out of place. It wouldn't be the worst episode. Fear Never Knocks would be my second favorite, and there's still some things in it that remind you you're watching a kid's show. The hammy villain, the creepy lady who's just wearing pantyhose over her face. But there isn't anything like that in this episode. It's just all good stuff. S tier easy. Pool Shark is just afraid of clowns, but he's a shark instead of a clown. And the end is weird because he reveals it to his crush and she falls in love with him. Because I guess she has a thing for the guy in Suicide Squad. I don't know.
I guess I lost. Are you afraid?
If I ask you to take me for a ride, will you devour me?
I did just eat. But I am new at this.
I'll take my chances.
Hang on tight.
D tier. Next we have Lights Out. Lights Out is the other episode I was talking about when I said really middle of the road, like Afraid of Clowns. It's also the episode I was talking about that has a similar ending to Game Over. But I think this one does it much better. It's about a group of teens who watch a Zach Bagans type ghost hunting show and decide to make one themselves by breaking into an asylum that ends up being actually haunted by an evil doctor who used to experiment on the patients who would stay out after lights out. It's a really solid episode with some genuine frights, and in the end, another group of teens are watching what we saw being recorded by these teens and say, oh, it's so fake, we could do one better, basically starting that whole loop again in the way that the Game Over episode did, but much better in this one, I think.
Lights out. Lights out. Lights out. Lights out. Lights out. Lights out.
Oh, come on. That is so fake. We can make one way better than that.
And you know what? I was gonna put this one in C tier, but I think I'm actually gonna switch it with Wrong Number. I'm gonna put this one on the low end of B tier, and I'm gonna put Wrong Number number 1 at C tier. Our next episode is The Perfect Brother, which is about these brothers who one is very high achieving and the other is normal. And the high achieving one is taken away by the parents who are acting sus.
Looks kind of suspect. Could be an imposter.
And keep mentioning the experiment. The other brother discovers that this brother is a robot, and what I love about this episode is that the brother relationship is the best developed relationship in the entire show so far. You actually believe it, even through the somewhat wooden, or should I say metal, acting of the perfect brother.
You shouldn't be here. You have to go.
No, you're in shock. They hurt you.
They'll hurt you if they know that you found out about this place.
Mom said the experiment failed, but what kind of experiment is this?
This might be our last chance to talk, so I need you to listen to me.
I'm getting you out of here.
I can't go home. Tell them perfect. Mom and Dad, they only want perfection.
I hate them. Their idea of perfection, no one can live up to that. Not you, not me.
Just always remember that no matter what they say, I always thought that you were the perfect brother.
And that's another interesting part of this episode, is that the reason he's taken away, we discover, is because he's developing a genuine attachment to the flesh and blood brother. At one point, the robot brother tells him that he always thought the human brother was the perfect brother, giving a different meaning to the title of the episode. Love that. The cherry on top is that it's revealed that everyone in the human brother's life is a robot, and he, in fact, is the experiment. Now that is some next level Twilight Zone writing.
No! No!
Sorry. We prefer our own kind.
No! No! I'm your son! I'm your son!
No, you're not. You're just our experiment.
And it works very well. A tier. And finally, we have Scary Mary. Scary Mary is the second two-parter in season 1 and the last 2 episodes of the season. It's about a group of teens, surprise, surprise, who do the Bloody Mary thing, but they can't use Bloody Mary because I guess it's copyrighted. I don't even know. And the main girl of the episode gets haunted by Mary through mirrors. At the end of part 1, she gets sucked into the mirror world. I didn't really love part 1. I found it to be quite boring, but it's still pretty solid in its execution. B tier. Part 2, however, is great. It is the perfect finale to the season. The main girl is now in Mary's world. There are other victims who got there the same way she did, and they all wear these creepy wooden masks to hide the fact that they have no faces, because Mary took them and wears them because she was burned and looks ugly, resulting in some creepy imagery. On top of that, the subtext of the episode is pretty great. Beauty is not external, and they literally show this through the faces being used as masks. The production value seems the highest it's been in this episode. The stakes are high, and the end is exciting and full of satisfying character moments. It's a great finale. It ended with a final scare that I don't think was necessary.
A girl has come to call.
On you!
Especially as the last episode of the season, I don't think it worked. I would have preferred the villain/threat to have actually been dealt with for once and have a moment of levity, but still an A tier episode. You may have noticed that I did not use the E tier at all. I don't even know what the frick E is. I've never seen E on a report card. I've seen I. Maybe if I do another tier list video, I'll use I when something is just incomplete, but E is nothing. So yeah, that is my Haunting Hour Season 1 ranking. I hope you enjoyed. Watch the show if you want. Rank it yourself, I guess. I don't really care. Okay, bye.